Welcome to My Hometown, the program that explores clubs, organizations, businesses, and issues across Nassau and Suffolk counties, and sheds light on the different towns that are making a difference.
Hello and welcome to My Hometown. I'm Bill Horan. Today we're going to meet a local hero from Malverne who has become known as the Patriot Man. His real name is Gregory Waxman, and since the pandemic, he's become known for running around town carrying the American flag to lift spirits, and has taken running to new heights and turned it into charity events that we'll learn more about today. He's with us here in the studio, taking a break from all that running to tell us more. Gregory, welcome to My Hometown on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
I'm fascinated by this now, so I want you to tell me a little bit of the backstory. What were you doing before the pandemic, and how did you get into running in the first place?
Well, I was always active. I used to play soccer when I was younger, and I was really good at it, actually. We won the state championship, I think it was when I was 12 years old, Refuel State Championship. And then I had a game in Valley Stream, actually, and I went up for a header, and I came down on a divot in the field, and I broke my leg, tib fracture. So that kind of ruined my soccer dreams. And then after that, I got into weightlifting, and I've been weightlifting throughout high school, college. I really didn't get into running until my 20s. The freshman 15 didn't get me. I didn't succumb to the freshman 15.
That's adding 15 pounds for our audience, right?
It is a real occurrence. I've seen people in college get the freshman 15. But I was a victim of the engagement 50. After I got engaged, you don't have to impress anyone anymore. So I gained a decent amount of weight to help lose weight. That's how I started running. Right
now, to our audience, this is radio. They can't see you. But you look like the example if you were doing a Marine poster, being very physically fit, very strong, and you look very athletic looking. So somehow you lost that weight very quickly, I guess.
Yeah, and then through the years, I've perfected the art of running and also nutrition.
Now, what just spurred you on to say, let's do running rather than bike races or going out and playing basketball or bowling or something like that?
Running's the easiest because you just need a good pair of shoes and you go. So it's just easy and just put your headphones on, listen to some music, check out the neighborhood. So I always enjoy running.
Was this your escape during the pandemic? Did that kind of get you out of the house?
It wasn't really escape because I was doing it constantly before. I stopped going to my gym, but I always ran outside because just being outside with dealing with the wind and the elements, it's just more exciting to be outside.
Do you participate in any other endurance events? Because again, you look like that kind of person who is looking for a challenge and would take one on, athletically.
Well, when I first started running, I started doing 5Ks and 10Ks. And I was still in the process of losing weight, so it hurt my knees when I did longer distances, but then when I lost more weight, I started getting into longer distances.
For us non-runners, the 5K is that about 5 miles?
No, 5K is 3.1 miles.
3.1, okay.
10K is 6.2 miles.
Okay, so it's still a considerable distance, but perhaps more manageable than the marathons. Do you get into that too, the marathon running?
I like the half marathon distance. I feel with my size, because I have muscles, I'm a bigger guy. I can compete better in the half marathon distance, which is 13.1 miles, than the 26.2. Also, the marathon really beats up your body, takes a toll on you. So I'd rather do a half marathon or an ultra marathon, which is any distance above 26.1 miles, than doing a regular marathon.
Well, that's good. You know what you enjoy, and you enjoy doing this. Now, you're known as the Patriot Man, so we have to ask you, how did you get that nickname?
Well, before the pandemic, I started doing the 50 miles for Lieutenant Michael Murphy run. I had done the run around the lake. There's a run around Lake Ronkonkoma in honor of Michael Murphy. It was the Ronkonkoma run for 40 or 50 years, but then after Lieutenant Michael Murphy passed away in 2005, they decided to honor him because he actually was a lifeguard at Lake Ronkonkoma and grew up in that area. So they decided to honor him. So the race, the run, it's a 4-mile run around the lake, turned into the Michael Murphy run. And I had done it, and I actually came in first place for the Clydesdale division. Do you know what the Clydesdale division is?
No, I'm sure there's an interesting answer to that, which I want to know.
Clydesdale division, they make for folks like me who are either heftier or have more muscle, because a lot of people think of marathon runners, they're like sticks. They're like 130 pounds soaking wet. So for people bigger, Clydesdale is usually 185 to 199 pounds, and then 200 plus, and then some have 240 plus. I haven't been 240 plus in a long time, but I won in the 200 plus division, I believe. My memory's working. And then before the race started, the 50-mile runners came in, and I was like, wow, I need to do that. So I reached out to the organizer, this gentleman named Freddie Rodriguez. Is a great guy. And 10 years ago, he started this race. They would start from Spanish Harlem in New York City at the fire department, El Barrio, I believe. And they started there because Mike Murphy, his best friend, was in that fire department for the FDNY, and he actually wore the patch on his Navy SEAL uniform. So that's why they start there. They would run from Spanish Harlem through Queens, through Nassau County, and finish at Lake Ronkonkoma. So I reached out to him, and he allowed me to join the run. In 2019 was my first year. So I did that the past 4 years, and with that run, you always finish with the American flag the last 2 miles. And the first year I did it was before the pandemic hit, and this was a huge race before then. Probably 5,000 people would be there. So when we're coming in with the flags, there was about 18 of us. Everyone was going bananas, cheering, and you really feel like a rock star.
And you are, and you should feel that way. I mean, honestly, for what you're doing. Yeah.
When we raised money through that run, and then when the pandemic hit, I started training with the flag because I was going to get ready for the next 50 miles for Lieutenant Michael Murphy run, and people would honk their horns and wave at me and say niceties to me while I ran. It really connected me to the fabric of the community. So I just kept running with the flag, and then when I would not run with the flag, everyone would be like, well, where's your flag? So now I'm kind of forced to run with it now. Not that I don't like doing it, but everyone just associates me with running with the flag.
Now, when you say run with a flag, is this, if you go to a ball game, they give out a flag that's about 12 inches. Is it a flag like that? You're laughing at me, so I'm sure I'm wrong. Or is it
it's one of it's a 3x5 foot flag that most people have attached to the facade of their houses.
So the flag itself is 3 by 5 feet.
Yeah, and then the pole is probably 4 feet.
So that's a pretty big size flag. So
yeah,
just to visualize it,
it's a decent sized flag.
And when you run with it, I mean, the picture I'm getting, you hold it in both hands, or do you have like a strap that you can?
No, I hold it in one hand. It's a more efficient motion than holding it with two hands. Sometimes, if it's really windy, I do have to hold it with two hands because you have to show respect to the flag. I never let it touch the ground. I hold it high, and then sometimes you really have to not fight Mother Nature. Sometimes the flag flows in front of me. Sometimes it goes to the back, to the side. But when my arm gets tired, I'll switch arms. When I have to take a break and eat something, I'll hold it under my chin, the wood handle to hold it up.
I'm sitting here with my mouth open hearing this because it's not enough to run any distances for you from 3 miles to 13 miles or so and more. And now you're carrying a flag, which just if you try to run with something, or even for most of us walking with it, if we take something from our car to the house, we're clumsy, it's awkward. And it doesn't have to be a heavy weight because it becomes heavier as you're moving. And you're running with this for, I don't know how long a race must take, anywhere from probably half an hour to several hours, right?
Yeah, well, I do it. I run with the flag during 5Ks, 10Ks, which for 5K for me is about 20 minutes, 10K is about 44 minutes, and then I've done it for the 50-mile run, which takes 8 to 10 hours.
50-mile run, kind of like,
run, yeah.
Like if we have nothing better to do, run from Nassau County out to the Hamptons and see how that is. And you're carrying a flag while you're doing this.
Yes, sir.
Okay. No, I compliment you, and I think it's great. And obviously that's why you've gotten so many people backing you up, etc. How do you prepare for these type of events?
As far as the endurance events, the lighter you are, the better. So every January, I cut weight. I clean up my diet. I don't drink any alcohol. And I usually drop around 25 to 30 pounds. Like take this year. In January, it's probably 205 pounds. And right now it's April, about 180. And I still have another 5 to 7 pounds I'd like to lose.
When you talk about dropping weight, most of us think of people who are overweight. I mean, to me, I would use the word sinewy to tell our audience what you look like, because you're very muscular, you're tall, and it's not someone who has a lot of extra body weight on them, or what we might consider the football player body where, they need the huge size. So when you say you drop weight, that must be really difficult, because you seem like someone who's in terrific shape.
Well, it's like bodybuilding. When they have a competition, they have to drop weight to get more vascular, and just for bodybuilding is just for the look. But for running, they've done studies, and every pound you lose, you're 3 seconds faster. So if you lose 20 pounds, it's a minute, and in a race or a long run, that's a big difference speed-wise. And also, the lighter you are, the less impact on your joints, because...
Well, that makes good sense. I mean, in the long run. Gregory, before we go further, I'd like our audience to know that if you're just tuning in, you're listening to My Hometown on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm Bill Horan. Today, we're meeting with a local hero from Malverne who's become known as the Patriot Man. His real name is Gregory Waxman, and he's the Patriot Man, and he's known by that name because he runs around town with an American flag to lift the spirits of people and to get the town behind him in charity events that help others. And he gives a lot of his free time for this. So on behalf of everybody, thank you, Gregory. Let's get back and find out more. Now, you're cutting weight. You want to get even thinner to make these races. So it's not bad enough that you're running up to 50 miles at some time. Now you're on a diet, too, and you're thin to begin with, right?
I'm not really on a diet. What I do that works for me is intermittent fasting. So I just have one big meal a day. At 6 o'clock, I eat really whatever I want for an hour, hour and a half, and that's all I eat. Because in the morning, if I have a cup of coffee, I'm not really hungry. And lunch, if I have a sandwich, it just makes me hungrier. So after a while, you get used to it. And I actually train. I weightlift and I run in the fasted state. You get used to it. I feel perfectly fine. People are kind of astounded, when I tell them that I don't eat all day, and I still, last Thursday I ran 13 miles fasted, no problem. So
it sounds like you people use the expression "know your own body," but you probably know what you like. I know there's people. My father used to be someone who didn't like to eat breakfast or lunch, but at the end of the day, and then into the evening, he would have snacks, etc. So he knew the style he liked to go with. For you, this works out running. When you do eat, is it mainly like carbohydrates, etc., or is it a big steak? Or
I try to eat a lot of protein. I don't cut out carbs completely because of the volume of running that I do. I still need carbohydrates. I do meal prep. There's a restaurant, Fuel Cafe in Hicksville. Great restaurant, and I get their meal prep. So I eat a lot of. They have super protein quesadillas, so it's bison and shrimp in a quesadilla. I have salmon wraps and just a lot of protein, some carbs, but mainly protein. All
the hospitals should be sponsors of yours for the healthy lifestyle and for what you're talking about here. I think that's amazing and wonderful. Now, when you do this, is it one or more charity organizations that's involved?
Well, what I started with was the Operation Hero Run, because the 50 miles for Lieutenant Michael Murphy run, I've done that for the past 4 years, and last year was the 10th anniversary, and the gentleman who I mentioned before, Frederick Rodriguez, he actually joined the military as an officer in training. So he's not really around because he's deployed all over now. So I don't think the run is coming back. Hopefully he does decide to bring it back or has someone else take it over, but it's kind of in limbo right now. So I decided to start my own run. So I started with, I called it Operation Hero. And last year I went to the village of Malverne, and I brought it up at a board meeting, and the mayor and the board of trustees were absolutely behind it. I wanted to raise money for the American Legion because they get service dogs for vets, and they have walkathons usually in April, and that's what they were fundraising for last year. And if a particular Legion raises $5,500, they get to name the dog. So I wanted to support them, and also a Malverne police officer, a sergeant. He passed away from a heart attack in 2021. So I wanted to start a scholarship in his honor. And that's what I raised money for the Operation Hero Run. So last year, I ran 50 miles around the village of Malverne. I came up with a 3.75-mile course around Malverne, and I did it 13.1111 times. And that's how I got to the 50 miles.
This is getting more amazing, and I'm going to add to it, because when I get into the next topic that I talk about, all of these runs that you're doing are to help other people. I mean, you, other than good health and because you enjoy running, but you're not getting anything financially out of this. This is to help charities or organizations.
I just figured that I'm doing all this training anyway, because I'm just a competitive person. I like to, once I lost the weight after I got engaged, I want to keep it off. And also, my dad passed away from a heart attack 10 years ago. And he wasn't very old. He was 62. So that kind of stuck with me, resonated that I have to stay healthy because I don't want that to happen to me. So
no, that's great. And what you're doing now, as if that wouldn't be enough, and I think that's more than enough for any show, but I'm going to add something to it, because I think we read about in some of the Long Island Herald papers that you did a 50-mile charity race for veterans and first responders, and you were running along with a world-renowned wheelchair athlete, Peter Hawkins. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, back to what we were talking about, Operation Hero. So the village, they were supportive, and they provided me with a police escort. And I asked Peter Hawkins, because he's an idol of mine, hero of mine. I always knew of him. If you don't know his story, in 1981, he got in a bad car accident. He was the passenger of the car, and he survived, but he's paralyzed from the waist down. And he's a football player, so he got into wheelchair racing. He's actually, I don't know what it is now, I think in 2018, he had won the Long Island Marathon 25 times. He goes to wheelchair races all across the world, in Japan and different countries. He's doing the Boston Marathon coming up in a couple days, so I wish him luck. And I have gotten friendly with him over the years because he's at a lot of the local races. So I've gotten friendly with him, and he lives a couple blocks away from me. And I asked him to do this with me, and he agreed. I'm grateful that he did, because in his chair, if there's not an incline, he can really go very quick. He goes very quickly. So he's going at about, I would say, he could do 5-minute miles, and wow. I'm running 7.5-minute miles. So he's kind of just coasting while I'm running at a swift pace.
That's fantastic, though. And I mean, I think for any Long Island business, and I'm going to ask you, if a business now, you're talking about service dogs, you're talking about the patriotism, you have this wheelchair athlete involved. If someone wants to get involved with one of our businesses on Long Island, law firms, architectural firms, etc., how would they get in contact? Is there a website that we should know about?
Yes. Well, basically, that was the Operation Hero Run, and this year I decided to let anyone who wanted to run with us, Peter and I, run with us. So I'm starting a 5K run that's open to anyone this May, and the race timer is Elite Feats, and you go to their website, and it's elitefeats.com. So it's Elite, E-L-I-T-E, and then feats, not your feet, but like you accomplished a feat, so FEATS.com. And you just click on upcoming events. You scroll to May. You click, it's called Freedom on the Farm 5K. You click on that, and you can register and sign up and run, roll, or walk with us. Or you can just click donate only, and you can donate.
I like the part that you can walk it, because for some of us, it's a little intimidating to hear the training that goes into it, etc. We want to find out more, Greg, but I'd like our audience again to know that if you're just tuning in, you're listening to My Hometown on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm Bill Horan. Today we're meeting with a local hero from Malverne who's become known as the Patriot Man. His name is Greg Waxman, and if you are out watching people run and you see a guy with a flag, that's probably our guest, and he's going to tell you how much he loves running, all he's done with it. And if you're a business and you're looking for someone to sponsor, or you want to do something really good for the charities on Long Island and help some people, this is someone to get in touch with. Greg, you do the 5K runs. What other charities are involved in these and that someone might be connected with as they're listening to you today?
I have a couple charities that we're raising money. I expanded it from the 2 charities that I raised money for, funds for the Operation Hero run last year. So the 5K run, it's called Freedom on the Farm. It's called Freedom on the Farm because Crossroads Farm in Malverne, it's the closest organic farm to New York City, agreed to graciously to host the event. So I am donating money to Crossroads Farm because they are a nonprofit. The Nassau County Land Trust owns it because it was owned by the Grossman family, but they were possibly going to, the land was possibly going to be developed, so Nassau County stepped in and they bought it because they wanted to preserve it and keep it a farm. So we're doing some cool things with the farm for the race. Anyone who signs up gets a free packet of seeds. And our awards, because everyone, if they've done a 5K, you get like a little medal that's not usually not of the greatest of quality. So the awards are this lovely lady at the farm. Her name's Annie Sunshine, which is a great name.
It is. Oh, my gosh, this gets better and better.
She is making tie-dye bags made with dye picked from flowers at the farm. And in that bag, we're giving away a little 2-ounce jar of honey that is made from bees kept at the farm. And also, we're giving out cash prizes, $25 to the 2 male and female overall, and then $10 for the age groups. So.
But I think the real purpose of this is to help the charities and to get behind it.
But we want to make it a memorable event. I've done... One year I did, I think, over 60 races. Probably 40 of them were 5Ks, so I've seen it all. So I just want to make this unique and different using my vast experience. So we obviously, we're doing this so we can, grow it into a big event and obviously help the charities.
You know, a lot of businesses, they get involved in golf outings, etc., and that's nice, and it gets to be a kind of a routine. But here you can help someone from Long Island. You can help some of the charities that Greg is running for, and again, our guest name is Gregory Waxman. He's out there doing this. You don't have to do the hard work. All he wants you to do is donate some money and help out a little bit by doing that part of it. And maybe you can even get a picture with, what was her name? Annie Sunshine?
Annie Sunshine.
I think that just the story behind that and what you're doing would make some great publicity for some firms on Long Island. So if they're looking for a cause to sponsor, we're certainly behind it here at WHPC. And you've certainly inspiring to be running around with the flag. It's not enough that you run, but you carry this big heavy flag with you wherever you go. If someone's thinking of getting involved in some of these races, could you give them some tips? What should they know? Is there some exercises they should do to prepare? Should they get their own flag?
They don't have to run with the flag if you want to. It's more than welcomed. I know of other. There's this gentleman, Billy, that used to do the 50 miles for Lieutenant Michael Murphy, and he's a veteran, and he always did all the races with the flag, so he was an inspiration of mine as well. There's another gentleman from the NYPD that runs with the flag as well. So it's not just me. There are others that run with the flag. But as far as getting ready for the 5K, you just you want to just do some practice, running jogs, in the weeks before to just prepare your lungs and your cardiovascular system. If you're older, check with your doctor, make sure you're in shape. And you don't have to race it. You could run, you could walk.
And I was going to say that to people and ask you, of course, you said a 5K means 3.1 miles.
Correct.
So that's probably about, for most of us, because I do a lot of just what I call healthy walking, trying to walk with the purpose. That's probably about 50 minutes to an hour if you're just walking it.
Most people running can finish a 5K in under 35 minutes.
Really? Okay.
More competitive people, they'll be in the 25 to 20 minute range. And if you're a speedster, you'll be sub 20 minutes. I finally got under 20 minutes with the flag last year. I did two. I did 1937 and 1952 with the flag.
With the flag, though.
Those are my personal
and you
bests.
got wind blowing at you and the resistance like a sailboat. So you've got some added, I want to say, pressures on you in order to do this. But for other people who might just want to take part and show their loyalty or be part of any of these
organizations. If you walk, you could usually around 45 minutes. Most people can complete it walking under an hour. If you're pushing a stroller or really being very leisurely, it might take a little over an hour, but that'll be the time to complete it. And
I think for anybody at 3.1, instead of walking around the mall, get out there and get some exercise. It gives you a little bit of a goal. It's not that, 26.2 is a marathon.
Yes.
So that's a bit of a push. But 3.1, I think a lot of good former athletes could do it, or even people who are just in good health or regular gym rats. Anything you'd like to tell our audience if they want to take part in this as a sponsor or a donation?
Well, I just wanted to tell you about the rest of the charities, because I just got to talk about the farm, but there's a couple more charities that I want to speak of. I'm also giving a donation to Paws of War. They rescue dogs from war-torn countries, and they also rehabilitate them and place them with veterans. And I want to give them a donation. It's close to my heart because my grandfather actually served in World War II in Germany, and he actually rescued a dog. By his camp in Germany, there were some puppies, and he saved one of them. They had to give them a sedative. He kept it in his pocket on the plane ride home and brought it back to America. So I want to give them a donation. And also the Stephen McDonald Foundation. He was an NYPD cop, actually from Malverne. He was shot and paralyzed in 1986. He was a quadriplegic, and he forgave the individual that did this act towards him. And I want to give a donation because he's another one of my heroes from Malverne.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Greg, we're going to be short on time, so I just want to wrap up. And if you can tell us, if someone wants to join you in donating and helping these groups, give us that website where they can contact you.
Sure. It's elitefeats.com, ELITEFEATS.com.
Easy enough to remember. And if you see a guy with a flag, you can bet it's our guest, Greg Waxman. Greg, thanks for being with us today. And we'd like to remind our audience, our guest has been Gregory Waxman, otherwise known as Malverne's Patriot Man. And you can tell it's him because he's running around with a flag. And he's also the founder of Operation Hero. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I'm Bill Horan. I'm here at Nassau Community College on WHPC, and I want to thank you for listening to this week's edition of My Hometown.
We'd like to get your feedback on My Hometown. Send your comments to WHPC@ncc.edu. Nassau Community College, where success starts and continues. Till next time, this is Bill St. James. And remember, there's no town like your hometown.